The first company we're going to look at is the Anjali Dance Company, and it's located in the UK. On their website, they say their main goal is to demonstrate new artistic abilities by creating works of excellence, performed by dancers with learning disabilities. So this company is already much different than any other dance company I've personally ever seen. I've never seen a company that has incorporated dancers with learning disabilities, because they are often not seen as capable of keeping up with the go fast pace of the world and the dance world specifically. If they don't keep up with dance class, they're just a burden. The teacher can't handle that. These are just all these kind of pressures put on people who live with learning disabilities. And this company kind of shows that, hey, you can dance, and you don't have to go keep up with everything. They kind of keep the same expectations, but focus on the individuality of what each dancer needs in order to succeed. This company was formed in 1995, and it was founded by Nicole Thompson. In an interesting article I read, she explained why she felt inspired to create this company, and she says, quote, "I became convinced that a new artistic quality could emerge from a company of dancers with learning disabilities. An engaging and challenging aesthetic that would bring a new dimension to contemporary dance. I started Anjali Dance Company to provide a framework in which learning disabled dancers could be accepted as serious artists, trained to professional standard, and performed to mainstream audiences." And this is already touching on the topic of use of bodies. She wants to but show that art can be portrayed by any body, and it doesn't have to be an able-bodied person who fits the standard of a dancer. And she also wants to show that this is not just a form of play. This is professional. They have been training and they are working hard, just as any other dance company. So before the program kind of got going, she struggled a lot with gaining acceptance, not only by audiences, but the parents of the dancers. They had very low expectations for the artistic ability of these young dancers because, again, they have even been told that their child will not succeed as many would if they were able-bodied. So these are big barriers. And she also had the biggest barrier of course, funding and accessibility to facilities, which are still a common problem and struggle for many of these companies. But finally, she was granted a 3-year accredited training program to tour. They performed all around Europe and finally gained the attention of mainstream. And they were starting to gain acceptance. So as they were gaining acceptance, it jumped to 2017. They were invited to the British Council to take a part of a seminar, and they were actually presented as an example of what has been achieved in disability arts in the UK. So that's a big name. They're kind of like the headliners, the leaders of dance and disability. And then I think it's also important to recognize that this company was not shown as a side to add diversity to an organization or a festival. They were actually the main performance of the Paralympics, and they performed their duet of The Reflection, which was performed by Hannah Dempsey and Daisy Garrett, and they actually received a standing ovation. This dance is about the image of the moon shining on the water, and the deep meaning behind that and the artistic value is that one's individuality reflects onto another, but shares the same time and space. So we are touching on this idea of a representation of the art. And yeah. Also, when we're looking at the outreach of Anjali Dance Company, they actually have a smaller company called Anjali Youth Dance Company, and it was performed in 2006. They performed in many large venues in order to get themselves out there and to show that the youth can also be professional dancers, even if they have a learning disability. So this company is major, and I think has really affected the outreach of this company. They also have workshops that are led by learning disabled dancers and not by anyone else, just learning disabled dancers, which is our showing representation of they can also be teachers. They don't have to always be the learners. They provide excellent delivery and positive role models. So again, the representation of a role model that the youth can look up to. They also have the classes are led by the special education team. So this representation is so important in the contemporary dance world. And then their courses as well. So when a young person takes the course who has a learning disability, they receive individual development plans for a discussion of their work, and they get to plan where they're going with their work. This individuality is huge, and one of the main, kind of like the underlying message of special education, individuality. Anyone can succeed if they're given that individual assessment and individual attention. So this company does an amazing job with that. It's better than teaching, in my opinion, a large number of dancers without even knowing their names. So that's something that almost any company can adopt into their program, I think. They're paving a new way of educating youth, and I think that's really important. So these future professionals have this basis of what educating the youth looks like and what we should live up to. And then that also goes into the positive effect of dance on the members of the Anjali Dance Company. In the article I was reading, but the same one of why the director created the program, she said that these skills that these dancers are learning through the company of community, partner work, communication, are acquiring their skills that reflect into their everyday lives. So such as improv, it teaches them how to act on instinct and to be more independent. So implementing dance into their lives also makes them more of an independent person and makes them feel good that they can't always rely on their caregiver and that they are capable of doing many things. When working with Leah Anderson, who was a resident choreographer for their tour Genius, Leah said, quote, "I'd never worked on creating a piece with people with learning disabilities before, so I didn't know what to expect. I'm very surprised and very inspired, and I'm really pleased that we have made a piece of work that is a standalone piece of artwork. It's not something I've specially made for people with learning disabilities, because I didn't have to. It's a piece of work that treats itself very seriously, by a group of artists who take themselves very seriously. And this has been joyful for me to discover." So these artists are artists. They're not disabled artists. They're artists. And they're serious, and they take it not with a grain of salt. They take everything professionally, which just shows that they are capable as any other person are. And then finally, the director said the long-term plan for the company is, again, to become worldwide, to not just be local to Europe, but to show that the whole world, what they are doing and what other people can do. This makes the company accessible to future generations, and it keeps the discussion of dance and disability alive, and that's exactly what they're doing.